Dr. Rick Martinez is Medical Director of Corporate Contributions and Community Relations for Johnson & Johnson. He leads Johnson & Johnson's Central, South American, and Caribbean social responsibility activities, supporting programs that promote the access to health care for women and children, disease prevention, education of youth, care and support of people living with HIV, and economic development through microenterprise. His career in grant-making began in the United States government, assisting academic faculty to develop their federal research and career development applications to the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And for some of you who have seen the ads on TV for the last several years, that's Johnson & Johnson supporting nursing and making the whole country aware of the need for nurses. In the aftermath of the 1990s health reform efforts, he moved to the U.S. Special Committee on Aging at the U.S. Senate as an issue expert in long-term care, mental health, and aging, where he staffed hearings on the economic impact of late-life mental disorders, suicide in the elderly, and the joint hearings of the Budget and Aging Committee. The latter was co-chaired by Senator Mark Hatfield, who at the time led congressional efforts to double federal investments in biomedical research at NIH. Dr. Martinez completed his undergraduate and medical studies at the University of North Carolina and Wake Forest University, respectively, and trained in internal medicine and psychiatry at the Sinai Hospital, Baltimore, and the University of Maryland Medical Center. He has developed Johnson & Johnson's philanthropies to address domestic disparities in health care, mental health, caregiving, and management and leadership training for community health care nonprofits. He has supervised clinical research at the Janssen Research Foundation, testified before an FDA advisory committee on CNS disorders in the elderly, and is a former director of CNS Medical Affairs at Janssen Pharmaceutica. It is my privilege to present Dr. Rick Martinez.
I'll have to say that none of that could have happened without the help of nurses. It's an honor for me to be here today and to share this celebration with you on this convocation. And I want to say congratulations to the class of 2009. Well done. I'm a fan of nurses. I'm not a nurse, as you can see. I am a physician, but the reason why I'm a fan of nursing was that they had a major role and major influence in my career. For example, when I was a medical student, a nurse taught me to tie my first surgical knot. And when I was a medical resident in the coronary care and intensive care units, I learned a lot from my nursing colleagues about the care of critically ill patients. And then when I moved on to the health policy realm, one of my mentors was a nurse, Mary Stark Harper. And so I'm channeling her here because she would basically say, don't mess this up, boy, get this right. Mary was a very inspiring force in my life, and so I'm here to honor you in the field of nursing on her behalf and her memory. So it truly is a genuine honor for me to speak to you today and to the faculty here at the School of Nursing. And I really wish you could stand here and see what I see, because I agree with Dean Wykle, is that you represent the faces of hope for this future of health care, the future of the medical field, the nursing field, and we need all the hope in the world we can get these days. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world, so we need hope. Now, when Dean Wykle asked me or invited me to speak to you, I eagerly obliged, because I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with her for many years. But after I hung up the phone, I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about. And so I did what I usually do when I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be talking about or need to learn about a subject, is I Googled it. And I Googled commencement speeches. And It's amazing what's on the internet now. There's YouTube, and you can see all the speeches from previous commencements and current commencements. I began watching the different speakers give commencement speeches, and I became intrigued by the various styles of delivery and the wide-ranging topics. Oh, and by the way, I didn't purchase this speech because, you know, you can do that for $19.95. But I wrote this one, okay, so I didn't purchase this. Anyway, like I said, I noticed several diverse and wide-ranging styles and topics. One style that I noted was what I call the giver of advice. I said, well, maybe I can do that. For example, President Obama gave a very sober speech at Arizona State University where he advised members of the next generation to avoid compromising your values. It's pretty good advice. He said that your generation must avoid what he called the old, tired, me-first way of life that chases titles and status. It's good advice. I think the whole country, the whole world, as a result of this economic recession and what's going on around the world, we are evaluating our values and what really matters. Now, another approach is humor. And since I'm a terrible joke teller, I will tell you a story that happened to me in a short vignette, actually, about the importance of humor in your careers and in your lifetimes. And this came actually from the daughter of a patient. I used to be an Alzheimer's researcher, and this daughter was a caregiver. She was an adult caregiver of her father, and she had a difficult problem getting her father to take his baths. And she would prepare his bath by filling up the tub, and she'd say, okay, Pop, go take your bath, and she'd go downstairs to prepare his meal for bed, or snack before bedtime. And in a few moments after she would leave him, he'd come down the stairs and said, I'm not taking my bath, there's a woman in the bathtub. And the daughter would say, well, what do you mean? There's only us here in the house, there's nobody in the bathtub. And of course, there wasn't anybody else there. The father was hallucinating. But she got angry, and he got angry, and they both got irritated, and the situation deteriorated from there, and there was no resolution. It then occurred to her one day, this happened again, one evening this happened again. She ran his bath water and filled the tub and said, Pop, go take your bath, I'm going to go make your meal. And he said, no, there's that woman in that bathtub, don't you see her? And this time, rather than get angry, she said, oh yeah, she's very beautiful. Tell her to move over and get in the bathtub and take your bath. And you know what? It worked. They had no problems after that. She found it in herself to avoid the anger and the irritation and the stress. She found that part of her, that child, that smart alecky, whatever that sense of humor was, to come up with a prescription for what could have been a serious situation. So I say, well, humor is important in a commencement speech. Another style I found on the internet was an inspirational style. And I came across the Carnegie Mellon speech by the late computer scientist Randy Pausch. Now, some of you may have heard of Randy Pausch. Last year, he became a media sensation as a motivational speaker. Pausch was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer at age 46. But during the last year of his life, he did something very interesting. He went around the country and gave motivational speeches. And the topic of his speeches was how you should live your life. He refused the pity of his audiences. He refused to feel sorry for himself. And he spoke seriously and with vigor and conviction about the importance of, guess what? Having fun. Randy Pausch is here today in spirit, telling me to remind all of you in this room to keep joy in your life. There are many sober and serious matters in our world and in each of our lives. But humor is an important prescription in your life and will be in your profession. So it's important that we take these inspirational points of view, this humor, and put it all together, because nursing is a serious business. Sometimes, though, we can take ourselves too seriously in this field of health care. So it's important to remember the power of humor. Randy Pausch spoke in platitudes, but the fact that they came from a man who only had a few months to live made his words profound. He would say, remember your childhood dreams. That's something that Dr. Satcher spoke of today. But the other point about your childhood dreams is that even if they don't come true, that's okay. Because what's important is the journey. The journey is what matters. That's what makes life interesting and fun. Pausch said, it's not about how to achieve your dreams, but how to live your life. Live it right, and the karma, the good, will come to you. Now, this is when a light bulb came off in my head as I was watching this internet broadcast. Because as I watched this Mr. Pausch give this YouTube broadcast and heard him speak the word karma, I knew exactly what I was going to talk to you about. You see, karma means literally action. So there's good action and there's bad action. So there's good karma and there's bad karma. The woman whose name appears on your diplomas, Frances Payne Bolton, I believe knew something about karma. Good karma means putting good into action. Putting good into action. The generation we call the millennials, those are the young people who were born after 1982, we're paying a lot of attention to you. Unlike my generation, the Me Too baby boomer generation, who are career obsessed and self-obsessed, the millennials are more interested in working together. And you're more interested in giving back. And in this particular case, you've chosen a vocation to do exactly that. So you have an opportunity to put good into action. Goodness gives life. Goodness is self-knowledge, self-awareness. It sustains peace. It creates civility and social order. Many years ago, Bolton began to put goodness into this world. She is known as an advocate for women's health and nursing education. She was also a civic leader, serving as a member of Congress representing Ohio's 14th district. But her goodness was born from crisis, because early in her life, she experienced the pain that no mother should ever know when her beloved son Charles lost his life in a tragic accident. But after that tragedy, Mrs. Bolton found refuge in reflection and soul-searching. Her particular self-exploration and spiritual journey might even be considered unorthodox by some. But nonetheless, like Randy Pausch, she refused to become a victim of circumstance. As I've gotten older, I'm beginning to realize that the universe puts events in our lives and creates circumstances in our lives that we just don't understand. But there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. In Mrs. Bolton's case, it opened her up to the possibilities of life. Rather than to cave into pain, she opened up her mind and her soul to the possibilities that she could find strength in her own spirit. And what happened was she renewed her own soul. That openness to possibility allowed her to reconcile her tragic loss, and today her legacy not only survives, it thrives in this very room. And it's sitting right in front of me. I have hope for the future. I told you that in the beginning, because I see hope in your faces. The goodness of people like Bolton survive for a reason. And please don't misunderstand me. You don't have to be a wealthy benefactor to put goodness into action. Or your gifts of goodness are quite simple. They're your smiles, there's a touch, your common sense, your kindness. Now today, Bolton's goodness survives here in a new generation of nurses. So when I look at you, I see this noble vocation of human service renewed by you. Today I celebrate your childhood dreams. I celebrate the determination to pursue your educations, first of all, the decision to dedicate yourselves to this amazing profession, this amazing vocation of service. Today I thank the professors here who shared their knowledge and experience to prepare you. I honor the parents, the grandparents, step-parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends and strangers who gave you life, fed you, paid for your clothes, computers, drove you to birthday parties, soccer matches, baseball practices, bought your books, and paid your cell phone bills. Most of all, though, I honor those people for loving you. I know there are times when that love was misunderstood. That love, however, I believe was well intended. They did that is, those people, the best they could. Your capacities for compassion and concern for others lingers in your souls because their love created you and made you human. Now you must put those instincts to use in your new profession, your new or old profession. It's your turn to put goodness into action. So here's my advice. Nurture your compassion by finding someone to love, maintain a sense of humor to sustain you, and most important, trust your good judgment and keep your sense of purpose. Trust your common sense, your gut, your instinct, that voice inside that says, you know, I know you're telling me to do it this way, but maybe we should do it that way. Or maybe I should have said this rather than what I did say. Trust that inner voice. Today, Karma is connecting the goodness of Francis Payne Bolton with your compassion, humor, and common sense. And in just a few days, or maybe tomorrow, you will begin to create miracles on medical wards and hospitals across the country. Your skills, your knowledge, your smiles, and your touch will comfort many dramatic moments. Just watch my word, though. Compassion, humor, and common sense. Put these in your toolbox, along with your knowledge and your skills. Compassion because you will play the part of counselor, advisor, confidant, and handholder. I believe hand-holding is hugely important. Along with the physical, don't underestimate the mental well-being of your patients. It's often the smallest things which matter the most. A sense of humor because you will encounter humanity at its weakest moments when patients are in your care, and sometimes a humorous anecdote, even a good joke, can make all the difference. Finally, common sense. There is so much red tape at the bedside right now. It's tripping up clinicians at the bedside. There are too many rules, there's not enough good evidence, and not enough common sense at the bedside. I hope that during this national call to action to reform our healthcare system, that we return common sense to the bedside. So with that, I say congratulations to the class of 2009. As a colleague, I welcome you today into this amazing profession. Today is your day. Go home, soak up all the love, and celebrate with your families. Then roll up your sleeves and start working on the miracles that you are destined to create. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. You've given us much to think about. On behalf of the graduates and faculty of the School of Nursing, I would like to present to you a token of our appreciation and thank you for being an important part of today's celebration.